His coworker just bagged a $600,000 bonus, while Ting Vien gets told he is getting absolutely nothing, apparently due to a bad attitude.
He calmly accepts it, hands over his resignation right on the spot, goes straight home, turns his phone completely off, and sleeps.
He refuses to answer a single call from his boss or HR, just finally enjoying that sweet, long-lost peace and quiet he really desperately needed.
Waking up the very next morning, his screen shows exactly 159 missed calls and 199 frantic texts. His quiet, simple exit instantly triggered an absolute earthquake straight through the company's top management team.
Cut back to the company's big year-end party, held right in the absolute fanciest luxury hotel in the entire city.
The bright light from those massive crystal chandeliers reflects perfectly into everyone's fancy wine glasses. The air literally smells like sweet champagne and completely fake laughs. The host uses this super dramatic voice to invite Chuang, the so-called elite guy from the sales department, right up onto the main stage. His face goes totally red, practically screaming out his thanks to the company. "Thank you, boss trio. My year-end bonus is 600,000. Boom! The entire hall just completely erupts into loud, wild cheering. Massively jealous stares hit Trong like 100 giant spotlights. The guy is so insanely hyped up, he looks like he wants to do a full backflip right there on the spot. Meanwhile, Ting Vien sits quietly in the corner, casually cutting his steak. The soft, rhythmic scraping sound of his knife and fork hitting the ceramic plate feels completely out of place against all that loud, crazy partying going on around him. His heartbeat does not even skip once. It is like that huge 600,000 figure is just some random number that has absolutely nothing to do with him.
Now pay attention to this next interaction. Tran Kiet, the HR director, sitting right beside him, gently nudges his elbow and drops his voice. "Ting Vien, your Project S brought in the highest profit. Your bonus will definitely beat his."
Ting Vien just smirks, saying absolutely nothing. Right on cue, the host up on stage enthusiastically mentions Project S, literally calling it the company's ultimate money-making machine for this entire year. Boss Trio, his boss and also one of the company's big co-founders, stands straight up from the main head table. His face is all flushed. He raises his glass, his eyes cutting right past all those kissing up to him and landing dead on Ting Vien. He mouths two words, "Come here." Then Vien puts his silverware down, wipes his mouth with a napkin, and walks toward the head table. Scattered clapping slowly fills the room. Everyone thinks the night's biggest reveal is finally happening. But Boss Trio does not invite him on stage. Instead, he points to a side room clearly labeled VIP Lounge and pushes the heavy door open. He follows our guy inside and casually shuts the door behind them, completely cutting off all that wild party noise. Dead silence inside. The boss motions for him to sit down while he takes his own seat, looking incredibly smug right across the table. A folder sits tossed messily on the desk. The words, Project S Annual Profit Report, on the cover stand out incredibly well, right there. The numbers printed in there are easily huge enough to make literally any shareholder smile from ear to ear. But Boss Trio does not even look at that report. He pulls a different paper from the drawer, smiles, and slowly slides it right over to Ting Vien. It is actually a printed notice titled Decision Regarding Ting Vien's Year-End Bonus Distribution. The content underneath is literally just one single sentence. Due to ongoing work attitude issues, his bonus for this year is 0. Right at the bottom sits Boss Trio's super flashy, totally arrogant signature. He leans back in his chair, folding both hands over his stomach, staring at Ting Vien exactly like he is looking at some shiny trophy. Ting Vien, you are a total tech genius. I definitely will not deny that. But you are way too arrogant and completely refuse to cooperate. Project S belongs entirely to this company, not just to you personally. I told you to hand over the core data to other teams as a backup, and you kept pushing back time and time again. I told you to guide the rookies, but you treated them like thin air. His tone is not loud at all, but every single word drips with this massive superiority and the sick thrill of a winner.
0 bonus this year serves as a little lesson for you. I need you to understand that in this company, your raw talent doesn't decide everything. Your attitude is actually what matters the most.
Ting Vien stares right into his eyes, completely full of that smug, I finally have you right where I want you kind of look.
He doesn't get angry, doesn't argue back, and doesn't show even the absolute slightest hint of emotional shift.
For the past 2 whole years, he practically lived and breathed at the office for Project S, working over 16 hours every single day. He built this massive technical fortress completely from scratch, coding it line by careful line.
That so-called arrogance the boss is talking about, it is really just Ting Vien firmly refusing his completely ridiculous demands to plant his own cronies in the team just to steal the core algorithm.
And that supposedly bad cooperation is actually just our guy fiercely protecting his professional boundaries, strongly refusing to let completely clueless outsiders dictate the work of actual experts. But now that the project is completely successful, and those massive profits are rolling in, the boss cannot wait to cross the bridge and burn it. But watch closely here. Ting Vien stays quiet for a few seconds. Then, right in front of him, he pulls a completely different pre-printed document straight out of his briefcase.
It is an official resignation letter. He gently places it right next to that ridiculous 0 bonus notice.
Boss Trail, please approve this. The smug smile on the boss's face instantly freezes totally solid.
He clearly never expected a reaction like this. In his perfect little script, Ting Vien was supposed to be completely shocked, furiously angry, and absolutely heartbroken.
Then lower himself to beg, admit his mistakes, and promise to be totally obedient from now on. Stunned for 5 whole seconds, the boss finally snaps back to reality, immediately letting out a really cold laugh.
What now? Starting to feel regret? You really think you can use this resignation to actually threaten me? Ting Yen, you are way too naive. Do not forget, this company makes money fine without anyone.
All Project S files are locked on our servers, so did you actually think I need you? I just stand up, looking right down at his somewhat twisted face, pure shock and anger written all over him.
This is not a threat. It is a final decision. I calmly deliver the line I prepared forever ago. Also, just a quick reminder for Boss Trio here. From the exact moment I handed in this resignation letter, all the core source code permissions for Project S automatically transferred straight over to my own personal encrypted server.
The only backup hardware key is right in my hands.
I watch Boss Trio's face completely change in a flash, going from smug red to straight-up pale green. But he quickly forces that panic down, trying to put his arrogant boss mask back on. Cheap trick, he snaps. You really think I have 0 ways around this?
Your little backup is totally useless. He slams the desk, his voice suddenly pitching up high. Let me tell you, Tin Vien, hand over all those documents right now. Or forget about your clearance paper. I will make sure you never survive in this industry ever again. I do not even bother giving him a second glance, just turning around and walking right out the door. Acting exactly as if I did not just have a massive showdown deciding the entire company's fate, but was simply heading downstairs to grab a quick coffee. Outside, loud music washes over me. People drinking, partying, celebrating absolute peace. Nobody has a single clue that the deepest support pillar holding up this massive business empire was just completely ripped out by its own wildly arrogant owner. In the break room, I run into Tranquiet grabbing some water. He gives me this really complicated look and asks quietly, "Is he giving you a hard time?" I just shake my head. He sighs heavily. "Tin Vien, you are way too impulsive. Boss Trio is petty and holds grudges. He will definitely cause you massive trouble." I just answer him with a smile. For the very first time, I actually realize a simple smile can totally work as a weapon. Trouble. Maybe the one running into trouble is not actually me at all. I skip that noisy party room entirely and walk straight back to my office. Late at night, the company is as quiet as a giant tomb. Only the sound of my keyboard echoes through the massive, empty space. I head right back to my own desk. This place is still totally scattered with little traces of my everyday life. The tiny potted plant in the corner, a half-empty mug of cold coffee, and the Project S structure map I literally use as a mousepad. I quickly pack up my personal stuff, dropping everything piece by piece into a cardboard box. Right after that, I turn the company computer on. Boss Trio thinks he controls everything, but listen to this. He does not understand tech at all, and he definitely does not understand me. He has absolutely no idea that the Project S I built is barely even normal software anymore.
It is way closer to a living, intelligent creature with its own life, and it only recognizes one single master, which is me. My fingers fly across the keyboard, punching in line after line of encrypted code. I do not delete a single line of code. That is just too low level. I only deeply package the most core algorithm module, the part I call the Black River. This Black River is the literal beating heart of Project S, the absolute foundation for making those massive profits. Right now, I have locked this heart inside a digital safe only I can ever open. I even set up a time-activated trigger program to keep it completely secure.
If anyone intentionally tries to use brute force to break in,
The entire system kicks off a chaotic data self-destruct sequence. We are not talking about a simple crash here. This is total brain wipe. With absolutely all of that finished, I send a specially encrypted core project data handover document straight over to my own personal email inbox. I also set it up to auto-destruct exactly 30 minutes after someone opens it. This single document is my absolute safety net and the final straw that will completely crush Boss Trio. My phone screen lights up with a call from Boss True. I stare at his name flashing right there, but completely ignore it.
A few seconds later, he shoots over a text message. "10VN, get back here right now. We can still negotiate this out."
I instantly decline the incoming call and text back, already resigned. Absolutely no need for any negotiations. Almost instantly, Human Resources calls up, urging me to finish the handover process. I grab the USB drive I prepped way earlier and hand it to the HR rep rushing over. Now get this. Inside that drive is a project file and a source code framework that looks perfectly flawless on the surface. To any total outsider, that is everything they need. But for whatever technical guy tries taking over this project, it is going to be an endless maze with zero way out. They can stare at the gorgeous palace, but they will never ever find the key to open those gates. Handover totally finished. I hold my box and take one last look at the place I worked at for 2 years. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city neon lights flow just like glowing lava. Incredibly busy, but so ridiculously cold. I do not feel a single ounce of regret, only this wild, totally unprecedented sense of freedom. For 2 years, Boss Trio treated all my hard work and sacrifices as just stepping stones for him to climb higher, like cheap cards he could cut up any time. Those shares he kept promising got delayed time after time, always using the excuse that our company was still in a growing phase. The exact team he swore to give me kept getting ruined by his totally clueless, well-connected cronies that he just kept shoving right into the group. I endured it all because Project S is my kid. I just wanted to watch it grow up. It's fully grown now, and it's finally time for me to take it away from this filthy place. Stepping out of that company building, the cold, late-night wind just hits my face. I take a really deep breath. My chest just fills up with the sweet taste of freedom. Pulling out my phone, I hold down the power button. The screen lights up one last time before going completely black. I toss it deep into my backpack, like throwing off some heavy shackles. Getting home, I don't even bother with the lights, just head straight for the bathroom and sink into a hot bath. The steam fogs up the mirror, kind of washing away the exhaustion and pure frustration of the past 2 years. I throw myself onto that big soft bed, falling into a deep sleep for the first time without setting an alarm. I sleep straight through the night and into the day. But while I'm out here enjoying this long-lost peace, I have absolutely no idea that the company's technical department has basically exploded into total and utter chaos. Here's where it gets wild. Manager Trio calls an emergency tech meeting overnight, desperately trying to verify the files I handed over. The team cross-checks everything with that complete document version. They try booting up the project management system, but they quickly realize that no matter what they do, they just cannot access the core database. The permissions on some of the servers start showing this really bizarre, unexplained lag. At first, they figure it's just a spotty network, so they don't really look into it. It isn't until dawn that they horrifically realize it's not the network. It's an access issue. Every single core module of Project S is locked tight, like some invisible hand is holding it hostage. They can't even find an entry point. Manager Trio's furious screaming just echoes across the entire floor. He frantically dials my number over and over, but all he gets is that automated voice saying the subscriber is powered off. HR.
Co-workers and even some top executives all get this death order from Manager Trail. They have to reach Tin Vien no matter what.
But my world is just absolute, perfect silence. The sunlight peeks through the gap in the curtains, shining a little too bright. I stretch my arms out. Every single cell in my body feels completely energized, and my mind is just incredibly peaceful.
Lazily, I crawl right out of bed and pull the curtains wide open. Sunlight instantly floods the whole room.
Heading to the kitchen, I make myself a cup of coffee, slowly finish up breakfast, and then finally remember that abandoned phone sitting inside my backpack.
Digging it out, I plug in the charger and hit power. The second that screen lights up, the crazy outside world just attacks me.
The phone vibrates violently. All sorts of notifications just explode onto the screen like a broken dam. Up on the top notification bar, 2 red numbers aggressively hit my eyes. 159 missed calls, 199 messages. I just stare at all this calmly, like I'm looking at somebody else's phone entirely.
Holding my coffee, I sit back on the sofa and casually open up the call history list.
It is a massive, endless list packed with names. Sitting right at the very top is Manager Trio.
From last night all the way until this morning, he was calling pretty much every 5 minutes. Right beneath him is HR Director Chung Kiet, some of the core tech guys, and a few unknown numbers. Those are definitely the other high-level executives from the company.
I don't even bother caring about all these missed calls, so I just flip over to my message inbox.
That number 1 spot still belongs to Manager Trio. Reading through his messages perfectly shows a man going from total arrogance to pure panic, and then straight into a complete and utter breakdown.
11 p.m. last night. Ting Vien, I'm giving you half an hour. Get your butt back here immediately. 1 a.m. There's an issue with Project S's source code. What kind of trick did you pull?
You have to come back and fix this right now. 3 a.m. I am warning you, this is commercial extortion and it is highly illegal.
6 a.m. Ting Vien, let's just say I was wrong, okay? Please come back. I will literally double your year-end bonus.
8 a.m. Ting Vien, I am begging you, please answer the phone. The second person is Chung Kiet. His tone is just full of panic and absolute shock.
You can literally feel the dread. Tin Vien, something huge happened. Project S is completely paralyzed, and the client already knows.
The board of directors held an emergency online meeting at 7 a.m., so please answer your phone. The third person's message actually catches me a bit off guard.
It's from Manager Lee, the company's second largest shareholder. He's this quiet old man who almost never gets involved in any of the actual daily management stuff.
Ting Vien, this is Li Ming. I know you have suffered injustices here, but the company and us old folks fully recognize your true value.
Let's have a little chat. Please don't do anything foolish. Anything foolish.
I softly repeat those 2 words out loud, finding it actually kind of hilarious.
Honestly, I am just taking back what I actually rightfully deserve, and conveniently handing the people who trampled all over my pride a lifelong lesson. How could anyone possibly call that a foolish thing?
Scrolling further down, I spot a voice message sent directly by Manager Trio.
Hitting play, the voice coming out of the phone doesn't have a single trace of that arrogant bossy attitude from last night.
It is this incredibly trembling mix of extreme panic, pure exhaustion, and anger, even carrying this barely noticeable little hint of begging. Ting Vien, where in the world are you right now?
I'm literally begging you here. Can you please just answer the phone? Project S crashed, and our biggest client over at Company V has gone absolutely crazy.
Their technical director is calling us every 10 minutes, saying they are going to trigger the contract breach compensation process. Hurry up and come back. Whatever conditions you have, we can discuss them all. I shut off the voice message, the smile on my face just growing wider and wider. I figured Project S had already completely crashed and burned, exactly like I planned out. Boss Trio is staring down the total collapse of his entire career right now. Honestly, it happened way faster than I ever imagined. I lean back against the sofa. I take a sip of warm coffee. It feels just like watching a dramatic thriller movie with wild twists and turns, where I am both the director and the only viewer in the audience. I think about it for a second, then shoot Tronquita a text. I just took my annual leave, completely planned out. Why are you acting like I did something crazy?
Less than 10 seconds after hitting send, Chun Kiet is already calling my phone. I ignore it. Almost at the exact same time, Boss Trio starts blowing up my phone like crazy too. I just watch Boss Trio flashing violently on the screen. I let the thing ring out for a full minute. The ringtone sounds pretty piercing inside this quiet room. Then I slowly reach out a finger and hit that bright red decline button.
My world goes peacefully quiet again. Meanwhile, I know for a fact that on the other end of the line, some guy's entire world is completely falling to pieces.
I give Tran Kiet a solid half-hour buffer to digest my text message. It also gives Boss Trio a little more time to let his absolute panic simmer.
After that, I take the initiative and call Chun Kiet back myself. The line connects almost instantly.
Ting Viễn, you finally picked up the phone. Chen Kiet sounds like he is basically about to cry.
The background noise right behind him is just people shouting and phones ringing endlessly. It sounds exactly like a chaotic, messy battlefield.
I walk over to the window, watching the busy traffic down below, keeping my voice super calm. Chun Kiet, what is going on at the company? Why so lively? Hearing my completely relaxed tone over the phone, Chun Kiet instantly starts panicking even more. He talks incredibly fast, giving me a live broadcast of the total internal chaos at the office. It is all because of Project S. Since midnight last night, the entire project has been totally paralyzed. The core algorithm completely froze up, meaning they literally cannot access a single piece of their important data.
Every single client-side user application is just completely stalled out now.
The tech department worked all night and still do not understand a single thing. I fake a surprised gasp and push him. Wait, hasn't the tech team tried fixing it?
Fix it? Those guys cannot even find the front door. Chun Kiet sounds absolutely desperate.
Now get this. At first, they totally thought it was a hacker network attack, but they searched all night and found zero traces. Then someone finally guessed, hey, did you leave a back door?
I don't admit it outright. I just calmly explain the situation.
Chun Kiet, I quit. I only handed over the general framework of the project and the non-core modules. But that super crucial black box algorithm, I stressed it to Boss Trio so many times.
I developed that completely on my own, and it is highly personalized to me.
Only my fingerprint and my passcode can unlock it. I pause for a brief second, a hint of mockery creeping into my tone.
I honestly thought Boss Trio would bring in an expert for the handover. I never expected him to be this confident. That exact sentence hits the weak spot perfectly. Boss Trio isn't confident, he is arrogant. He actually thought that as long as he had the source code, he could just casually hire some random outsourced team. He figured he could toss them some pocket change to maintain the project, then claim all the hard-earned credit and massive profits for himself. He fundamentally does not understand that Project S only became a massive money printer, not because of those flashy external interfaces. It works solely because of that core black box I treat like an absolute treasure. The algorithm inside there is 2 straight years of my absolute dedication. It took the most advanced encryption tricks and data modeling out there just to finally finish it. You won't find a second person in the whole country who can copy it. Chun Kiet stays totally quiet for a few seconds before sighing heavily. Since yesterday afternoon, he actually put together a whole team to try and crack it. The company's tech department, plus 2 massive geniuses they specifically invited from the outside, have been wrestling with it for over 12 solid hours now. The clients just cannot wait that long. Especially Company V. They already sent official documents preparing to start the penalty process for breach of contract. I just let out a soft little laugh. Why doesn't he just look for me directly? Well, he just cannot swallow his precious pride. Chun Kiet sighs. At first he acted all tough, saying the earth still spins without you. Then he realized things were bad and got terrified you would demand conditions he could never accept. You know what happens next, right? Right as I am talking to Chun Kiet, my phone gets a second call waiting. It is Boss Trio. I don't hang up. Instead, I tell him, Chun Kiet, listen in on Boss Trio's call for me real quick. Put it on speaker.
I want to hear exactly what he has to say. Chun Kiet hesitates for a second, but still obeys.
The exact second the call connects, Boss Trio's wildly out-of-control screaming just explodes right from the speaker, making my ears ring. Chun Kiet, have you managed to contact Ting Viễn yet? Tell him if he just comes back right this instant, his position goes up a level and his salary triples.
That year-end bonus?
I will make up for it right now with 600,000. No, 1 million. His voice cracks from sheer agitation, full of total resentment, humiliation, and the crazy desperation of a guy backed into a corner.
I can easily picture his face right now, flushed completely red.
Veins totally popping out everywhere. I hold my phone and walk over to the mirror, looking at my calm reflection, a pretty cold smile slowly curling up on my lips.
He faces the mic, using a voice only Tran Kiet can catch. He softly drops 2 words, too late. Those 2 words hit Boss Trio on the other end like perfectly aimed bullets. His voice is pretty quiet, but the mic quality on Tran Kiet's phone, absolutely flawless. Boss Trio clearly hears it. His screaming stops cold. Dead silence hits the line, instantly followed by an even more insane, totally desperate roar on his end. He yells, Ting Vien better stop being ungrateful, asking if he seriously thinks there is no way to punish him. Tin Vien just signals Tran Kiet to cut the call. 0 point discussing things with a red-eyed gambler who has already lost absolutely everything. Sure enough, less than half an hour later, the real heavy bomb drops. Tran Kiet sends him a screenshot of an internal company email. The sender is Company V's legal department. The recipients, every single board member at Tin Vien's current company. The email content is incredibly strict, stating that because their Project S has been paralyzed for over 12 hours, it has caused massive business disruption and some major commercial losses for Company V. They are now officially notifying his company of the fallout.
Company V will unilaterally terminate all cooperation agreements, fully reserving their right to seek a massive amount of financial compensation.
Get this. Company V accounts for 40% of their annual revenue. This news goes off like a literal nuke exploding right inside upper management.
The board of directors WeChat group instantly explodes into pure chaos. Every single spear pointed straight at Boss True.
The shareholders start frantically questioning his leadership, pointing fingers at that incredibly stupid decision he made to completely cut all the year-end bonuses. Boss True's texts follow right behind, but his tone shifted from previous panic and begging into outright blatant threats. He warns Tin Vien one last time, come back immediately and restore the system. Otherwise, the company will sue him until he is totally bankrupt, screaming about whether he even knows what a non-compete agreement is, or what commercial secret laws are. Ting Vien just looks at the message and laughs. The guy is acting like a completely cornered dog. He casually replies to remind Boss True of one very important detail. All the core underlying technology for Project S was independently developed by him during his own free time. He has all the development logs and all the full time-stamped evidence. As for the related intellectual property registration, his lawyer already helped him finish all that paperwork 2 whole years ago. Secondly, the labor contract they both signed has incredibly vague intellectual property clauses. If they really fight this out in court, it is not totally certain who would actually win. Do some real research before threatening him. Stop acting totally legally blind.
Message sent. He tosses the boss's number straight into his blacklist. The world is finally peaceful. But not long after, a message from Boss Lee arrives.
This time, the tone is even more urgent than in the morning, carrying a slight hint of actual begging. Boss Lee says they have already temporarily suspended Boss True. The board wants to invite him back, being fully willing to offer their absolute greatest sincerity. He asks if he is free tonight. Come over for tea to discuss absolutely everything thoroughly. He guarantees he will definitely give a satisfactory explanation and protect all of his rightful interests. The end of the text heavily implies something else entirely. If he actually cooperates, they can completely uproot Boss True's position at the company. Tin Vien is considering how to reply when the corner of his eye randomly catches something out the window. But look down there. A familiar black Audi A8 is speeding like an absolute maniac right below his building. It slams on the brakes. The door flies open. Boss True stumbles out, hair a total mess, suit jacket crumpled, and his tie completely crooked. He completely lacks his usual energetic vibe, looking exactly like a gambler who just gambled away his entire family fortune. His phone instantly rings again with another one of the guy's numbers, but he totally ignores it.
The boss stands by the car, tilting his head up to stare at the building, trying to find his window. The phone just keeps ringing without getting tired.
Separated by a single pane of glass, Tin Vien steps up, quietly watching the anxious, furious, but completely helpless man down below. He is pacing by the car like a caged animal, occasionally picking his phone up and then heavily dropping it back down.
The bright sunlight hits him. It just makes him look incredibly pathetic and totally miserable down there.
Ting Vian calmly hits the reject button, then sends one final text. His house is too small to accommodate a giant Buddha like Boss Trio.
A few seconds later, an insane scream echoes up from downstairs, demanding that Tin Vien come down right now.
He calls him a backstabber, yelling about how the company fed him for years. He starts throwing a public tantrum down there, trying to use the most primitive, crude method possible to force him out. All the surrounding neighbors start poking their heads out, pointing fingers straight at him. Frowning in absolute disgust, Ting Vien pulls his phone out. Without calling the cops, he shoots a quick text over to the building manager, saying hello to Mr. Vuong.
He reports a strange man causing a loud scene downstairs at Building 1, suspecting he might have some actual mental issues.
It is seriously affecting the residential order and safety. He asks him to please send security over to handle it. Less than 5 minutes later, 2 uniformed security guards finally show up. Grabbing the still screaming Boss Trio tightly from both the left and right sides, they drag him straight out of the residential area without saying a single word. Boss Trio is still struggling. He keeps muttering some absolute garbage under his breath. I pull the curtains shut, completely blocking out his pathetic little comedy show. My absolute calmness right now, that's the biggest insult I could ever give him. I don't go over to Boss Lee's place for tea. I really hate that feeling of being totally passive. Instead, I text Boss Lee back, proposing we set up a live online video meeting. At the same time, I demand that Boss Trung, another independent shareholder holding a pretty massive stake in the company, has to join the call as well. I only have one condition. The entire meeting must be fully recorded to serve as legal evidence later on if needed. Boss Lee immediately texts back a single word, okay. At 8 p.m. sharp, our 3-way video conference officially kicks off. On the screen, both Boss Lee and Boss Trong's faces look quite serious right now. No games. Right away, on behalf of the entire board of directors, they officially apologize for Boss Trio's completely idiotic and highly disrespectful behavior toward me.
Tin Vien, we fully admit that the company handled this recent situation incredibly poorly. We know we've deeply hurt a core, highly valued contributor just like you in the process. Boss Lee's tone sounds very sincere. The board has already reached a preliminary consensus. Boss Tro absolutely must pay the price for his massive mistakes in decision-making. We firmly promise to fight and get back every single bit of the compensation that you rightfully deserve. We can totally renegotiate your position. I stay quiet. I don't respond to their sudden show of goodwill right away. First, I take 10 solid minutes to explain things to these 2 non-technical older guys. I break down exactly what Project S's black box actually is, doing it in the most simple and direct way possible. Boss Lee, Boss Trung. Project S isn't just a simple pile of software source code blindly stacked on top of each other. Its very core is a completely closed architecture. It is based entirely on a dynamic encryption algorithm that I personally and independently created. The smooth operation of this entire architecture doesn't rely on any static data sitting on the company servers whatsoever. Instead, it actually requires a very specific hardware key to grant real-time authorization constantly. That hardware key is currently sitting right here in my hands. I casually wave the small black thumb drive right in front of them. Without it, pure trash. Anyone who grabs the source code just gets a pile of useless scrap paper. Boss Lai and Boss Trung look at each other. Their faces grow even more serious. Boss Lee sighs heavily. Tin Vien, we completely believe in your professional abilities, but we honestly just don't understand why you would use such an extreme method right now instead of choosing a peaceful negotiation with Boss Trio. But pay close attention to this next part. It's exactly why I called this meeting. I stare directly into the camera and ask right back, Boss Lee, do you really think Boss Trio wiped out my entire year-end bonus just because I had a bad attitude? I don't even wait for their answer. I share my computer screen. A massive folder containing screenshots of countless emails pops up right in front of them. These are actual copies I managed to pull from the company's legal department servers using a few very special, quiet channels. The 2 people exchanging these emails are Boss Trio and a high-level senior advisor from the legal department. The actual contents are absolutely chilling.
Starting 3 whole months ago, Boss Trio secretly consulted on how to split Project S's intangible assets away from the parent company. He planned to use a series of legal loopholes to pump it all into a newly registered shell company, 100% owned by him personally. Inside these emails, they discuss in extreme detail how to define the project's intellectual property rights, how to completely dodge compensating me with any shares, and how to fabricate a reason to push me aside, ultimately forcing me to leave with absolutely nothing. And my so-called bad attitude leading to a wiped-out bonus? That was literally just step 1 in their grand, twisted master plan. I calmly explained the entire conspiracy. His whole plan was using that bonus cut to deeply insult and provoke me into acting out. If I endured it, he'd use even more dirty tricks to force me out. If I impulsively resigned like yesterday, that would play perfectly right into his greedy little hands. One signature. The second I finished my formal resignation paperwork,
He could officially and legally declare Project S as strict company property. Then, exploiting his absolute general manager authority, he would rapidly complete the entire massive asset transfer without any interference. By doing things exactly like that,
without shedding a single drop of sweat, he could effortlessly take this amazing project I independently researched and developed,
A project bringing massive profits to the company, and turn it into his own private personal property. My voice stays incredibly calm, but Boss Lee and Boss Trong's faces on the other end of the call have turned unbelievably ugly.
You can practically see their facial muscles twitching, eyes completely overflowing with pure rage at being so deeply betrayed. They finally realized that this greedy monster named Boss Trio didn't just want to ruin me. He actually wanted to completely gut the entire company from the inside out, aggressively destroying the hard-earned interests of every single shareholder involved. This absolute scumbag! Boss Chuang furiously slams the heavy table. This is corporate embezzlement. This is blatant commercial fraud. Boss Lee's face is so incredibly dark, it looks like a storm is brewing.
He stays silent for a long time before looking up at me, asking word by word, Ting Vien, what do you want? It's finally time to play my hand.
Number 1, I strictly need Boss Lee and Boss Trong's absolute full support to immediately summon a special emergency shareholder meeting. We must forcefully strip Boss Trey of every single position in this company, citing severe corporate embezzlement and massive damage to the company's core interests. Number 2, until Boss Trio is completely and utterly purged. I will not unlock a single core function of Project S. Boss Lai doesn't even hesitate for a second before answering. It is done. I will contact the other directors right away to officially launch the impeachment process. He then quickly adds, Tin Vien, can you please see if you can provide a temporary unlocking method first, even if it just restores a small portion of the system's functions? We're bleeding. The company simply cannot bear this heavy financial burden much longer. I shake my head, absolutely standing my ground. No way. Unlocking it is totally possible, but they have to wait until Boss Trio is completely wiped out of this game. Otherwise, knowing his dirty tricks, the exact second that system comes back online, he is going to destroy every single piece of evidence. Then he would turn right around and bite back, spinning some story about how I maliciously attacked the corporate servers. At that point, even if I had the truth, nobody would listen. I look at those 2 shareholders with pale faces on my screen. I know from this very second, Boss Trio's absolute downfall has officially started its countdown. And as for me, I went from victim to the one steering this entire revenge play. But Boss Trio is definitely not the type to just sit around waiting to fall. Once he realizes the board of directors has completely shifted their entire stance, he launches a seriously desperate counterattack. Early the next morning, a huge wave of anonymous posts floods the internet, with every headline way more sensational than the last one. Just shocking stuff. A core programmer at a tech firm maliciously locked up the company's lifeblood project simply because his demands for an absolutely sky-high holiday bonus got completely rejected.
People are calling it a tech genius, or maybe a corporate hacker, exposing a perfectly meticulously planned workplace extortion scheme.
Inside those posts, I get painted as this totally despicable villain, insanely greedy, and using my talent to look down on everyone else. The whole article vividly breaks down exactly how I supposedly abused my rank to steal core corporate data, and then how I maliciously attacked their private servers right after quitting, all just to extort a truly massive fortune out of them. These wild posts quickly go viral across all the major tech forums and social media networks.
Netizens who have zero clue about the real truth start fiercely tearing into me online.
Boss Trio's entire media team has clearly made their move.
Now watch his entire strategy unfold here. They want to control the narrative, branding me as a leaker and a hacker to blame every corporate loss on my malicious revenge. I just stare at these posts, feeling absolutely, completely unfazed.
I immediately get on the line with my lawyer. I send over every single copy of the emails between Boss True and the legal department, plus the full audio recording from my meeting with Boss Lee and Boss Trung.
At the same time, I tell him to set up a small online press conference in my name, inviting a few really influential tech outlets to join the broadcast.
I already threw Boss True's number right onto my block list, so he uses some random burner phone to shoot over an ultimatum, and the message is just packed with unhinged threats from a guy losing his mind.
Tin Vien, the massive resources I currently hold are way beyond what you can imagine.
I highly advise you to stop right now, or else I won't just ruin your reputation. I will make you pay a seriously brutal price for this.
I take a quick screenshot of that exact message and forward it to Boss Lai.
This is incredibly crucial evidence proving Boss True is actively threatening witnesses trying to take him down. The whole situation is just insanely corrupt.
Very soon after that, Tran Kiet sends me some fresh intel. Boss Trio is currently making his absolute last desperate struggles inside the company walls. He is throwing out double salaries and ridiculously huge bonuses, desperately trying to lure in the old members of my Project S team.
He wants them to step up and betray me by signing this completely fake technical document, falsely proving Project S was a joint research effort by the entire crew.
And that I, Ting Vien, was just one random member who could be easily replaced. This is the final desperate card he wants to play legally, aiming to completely strip away my rightful status as the head of Project S.
T.A. Liu, one of the core technical guys from my old squad, actually sends me a quick WeChat screenshot.
The image shows Boss Triu's secretary heavily threatening and bribing him at the same time, basically forcing him to lead the charge in signing that fake document.
I look at the screenshot and shoot T.O. Liu a fast reply. Do not sign anything, and definitely keep that screenshot safe.
If you guys are willing to stick with me until this blows over, we can build a brand new empire together. I promise you, what I offer will easily beat whatever garbage he just promised.
T.O. Liu fires a reply back almost instantly. Brother Vien, we are all following your lead. Those guys are just too terrible. I can't help but smile at this exact moment. Boss Triu really thought his cash could buy everything, forgetting that genuine loyalty is something money can never afford.
I gather up every single link to those incredibly nasty slanderous posts.
Bundle them with Boss True's wild, threatening messages and Chia Lu's screenshots, packing it all into one solid file for Boss Lee.
Inside the email, I write, Boss Lee, Boss True has completely lost his mind, destroying real evidence, faking documents, and openly threatening our witnesses.
I strongly demand the board immediately speed up his dismissal process, or else I really can't guarantee how much longer that project system is going to survive.
That powerful little email is the absolute final straw that breaks the camel's back.
Later that exact afternoon, Boss True's entire legal team fires off a painfully aggressive legal letter straight to me. Inside it, they boldly accuse me of being completely suspected of illegal computer system intrusion,
Stealing major corporate trade secrets,
and demanding I immediately and unconditionally hand over the core source code and the hard lock for Project S, or else they'd immediately report me for heavy criminal charges.
Barely half an hour after receiving that legal threat, my own lawyer strikes right back. A massive countersuit letter gets fired off, landing directly in the company board's inbox and going straight to Boss Triu personally as well.
Inside my lawyer's letter, we don't just completely tear down all of their wild accusations, but we actually hit back hard, accusing Boss Triu himself of suspected severe corporate embezzlement, inciting other people to give false testimony, along with trying to steal intellectual property that belongs entirely to me. At the bottom of this rare letter, we also attached a few crucial emails between Boss Triu and the legal department to serve as hard proof. The situation flips instantly. Boss Triu's position inside the company starts completely crumbling down, barely hanging by a thread. Every single public opinion attack and legal threat he tried officially ends in total failure.
Right now, he is basically a desperate cornered beast, placing absolutely all of his hope into finding some kind of savior who can actually crack the back door I left behind.
But he has no idea. That kind of savior simply does not exist anywhere in this world.
Right. While Boss Tree was completely losing his mind searching the entire world for a tech master, an unexpected person contacts me. It turns out to be Ko Fong,
The CEO of Van, another massive giant in the industry. He is also an old acquaintance I met at a tech summit many years ago.
He ends up sending me a message. Very short, but incredibly interesting. Tin Vien, that play you directed recently has a pretty well-written script. Whenever you have some free time, let us chat a bit about the future.
I agree to meet him. A highly exclusive private tea house.
Ko Fong is 10 years older than me, wearing a sharply tailored traditional Chinese outfit that makes him look quite elegant and gentle, yet his eyes reveal the intense brilliance of a true businessman.
We skip the long small talk. He gets straight to the point. Project S. I have had my people researching it for 2 whole years now.
Watch how this plays out. That one single sentence tells me exactly why he came today. Their research shows its technical defense wall is way higher than they ever imagined.
Its core algorithm? It carries your very heavy and distinct personal signature.
Tin Vien, in this entire industry, other than you, nobody else can copy it in a short amount of time.
He looks at me, tone completely sincere. So I am not here to poach your source code. I am here to poach you. He pours me a cup of tea, then lays out his collaboration plan.
After taking a hit like this, Boss Triu's company will lose a layer of skin even if they survive.
Company V is done. Finished. Their clients will slowly abandon this market gap one after another. I want to fill that void right alongside you.
Van Corporation will provide the startup capital, market channels, legal and administrative support. You provide the actual technology and the core team. Together, we can establish a brand new, completely independent company, exclusively operating an upgraded version of Project S to directly target those high-end clients who have the most demanding technical requirements.
He pauses.
Just for a second, stating the most important condition of all. In this new company, Van Corporation will only invest finances and support resources without getting involved in the specific daily operations. You own 51% of the shares, holding absolute control over the company. My hand holding the teacup freezes for a moment.
Not gonna lie, this condition is honestly just way too tempting. Think about it. From a regular worker casually discarded by capitalists, overnight I can literally become a startup boss holding absolute total control.
This is not just some simple revenge. It is also the maximum realization of my own personal value in this industry.
Ko Fong notices I am pretty moved. He just smiles, adding one more piece of news. I should conveniently let you know something.
The CEO of Company V already flew out to our main headquarters yesterday just to desperately look for a viable alternative solution. But they made a very strict demand. The head of technology has to be you, Tin Vien. I completely understand everything now. Ko Fong is not just painting some empty fantasy for me here. He actually came carrying an astronomically high-priced order directly from Company V.
I think deeply for a moment before looking up. Boss Ko, we can cooperate, but I have one condition. Go ahead and say it.
Before my new company is officially established and actually signs a contract with Van Corporation, your company absolutely cannot interfere with Project S in any way, shape, or form. In the current muddy waters, I have to make sure my old company, especially Boss Triu, pays a truly painful and heavy price for everything they have done. What I want is not just a simple victory, but a completely thorough and absolute purge. Hearing this, Ko Fong just laughs out loud. Tin Vien, I really appreciate this sharp personality of yours. No problem at all. I guarantee I will only be an audience member for this play, absolutely not stepping on stage to compete. He clearly understands my goal and considers my brutal counterattack to be completely natural. We end up reaching a secret cooperation agreement right there on the spot. Ko Fong's legal team works incredibly efficiently. That very same night, the formal documents for establishing the new company and the draft share agreement are already sent straight into my inbox. The company name is already decided too. Farsight Technology. Having a far vision.
My farsight and Boss True's short-sightedness will soon become the most classic negative textbook example in this entire industry. Armed with Kofong's absolute backing for the next few years, I start executing the final step of my plan, summoning my old team back.
I reach out one by one to the 3 former core technical members of Project S, including Tia Lu.
The very first person who sent me the screenshots. I do not say too much over the phone, just arranging to meet them at a coffee shop near my house.
All 3 of them show up, their faces carrying a mix of deep anxiety and eager anticipation.
I skip all the useless small talk and directly lay out the entire plan for the new company in partnership with Van Group, along with the specific positions, salary, and preferred shares they will receive.
I tell them exactly how Boss Trio plotted to steal the fruits of all our hard labor, and how right now is our chance to take it all back, to build a solid platform that truly belongs to us tech guys.
Their reaction is honestly way more passionate than I ever imagined. Vin, we have had absolute enough of Boss Trio's two-faced act.
Exactly. Spending all day letting some clueless, well-connected suits boss us around is just insanely frustrating to deal with.
Just say the word, and we will hand in our resignation letters right now. They agree to join my new plan almost without a single ounce of hesitation.
The resentment piled up against Boss Trio and the management ran incredibly deep. My showing up was just the spark that finally ignited a powder keg they had been sitting on for way too long. Boss Trio's little PR war completely blows up in his face because our absolute biggest client, Company V, publicly drops a brutal, massive statement right after officially cutting all ties.
In it, they seriously praise the advanced technical groundwork
of Project S, making it crystal clear that what they trusted was never this garbage company, but the chief architect running the whole project.
Tin Viễn, this is basically a stinging slap right across Boss Chill's face, hitting the entire company board of directors just as hard.
Boss Lee's phone call comes in immediately. His voice carries a hint of exhaustion, but mostly it sounds like a massive burden being lifted off. Tin Viễn.
The board of directors just passed a resolution,
citing some pretty serious negligence of duty and suspected theft of company assets. We have officially kicked off the impeachment process against Boss Trio.
Tomorrow morning at 9, there is an emergency shareholder meeting for the final vote. And my conditions? I ask. We agree to everything, but you must honor your end of the deal.
The moment the dismissal resolution actually goes through, you have to restore the system immediately.
I can clearly hear it in Boss Lee's voice on the other end, the undeniable heavy tone of a pure business transaction.
Right then, another unknown number calls in. Get ready for this. I signal Boss Lee to wait, then pick up. Boss Trio's completely broken voice comes through the other end.
He isn't screaming anymore, not throwing threats either. It is just this horribly desperate, raspy tone, like every last drop of his energy has been totally drained.
Tin Viễn, I lost. I agree to resign, and I'll accept absolutely any investigation the board of directors wants to throw at me.
I don't need anything. I just beg you to come back and reboot Project S to save the company, and honestly, save me too.
Listening to his pathetic, messy begging, I don't feel a single ounce of pity. If he knew this day was coming, why do it?
Then I switch back to the call with Boss Lee. My tone goes dead cold and rock solid. Boss Lee, pass this exact message to the board of directors.
I agree to restore the system, but I have one absolute final demand.
First, right after tomorrow's big shareholder meeting, Boss Trio must instantly process his resignation, hand over all power on the spot, and submit to a full internal investigation. Second,
the company must instantly pay out all my year-end bonuses, the slashed project rewards, and cash out the shares promised to me over the last 2 long years. That totals 2 million yuan after taxes. This massive sum must hit my personal bank account before I even think about restoring your broken system. And third, the company has to post a very public apology letter to me on its official site and major industry media to clear up the actual facts and completely restore my reputation. Dead silence on the other end. Boss Lee knows 2 million isn't a small number, and posting a super public apology basically strips away whatever tiny shred of face the company has left. Tin Viễn, isn't this condition a little... He actually tries bargaining. I cut Boss Lee off immediately.
my entire core team is sitting right here with me right now. if Project S still can't launch tomorrow morning, facing Company V's massive breach of contract penalty, plus all the other clients walking out at once.
The company's total losses will easily blow past 20 million.
You would even face direct bankruptcy and liquidation. 2 million is simply the price to buy a tiny chance of survival for this company. You guys honestly have zero right to bargain.
The other end drops into this long, heavy silence. About 5 minutes later, Boss Lee's voice finally echoes back, carrying a really deep, crushing sense of total helplessness.
Fine, I agree. But you have to guarantee that once you get the cash, you'll unlock the system right away.
I let out a cold laugh. Absolutely. Tomorrow morning, when I see the board's dismissal resolution, the official apology, and the text confirming that huge payout hit my actual bank account,
I'll think about unlocking it. I hang up.
You can practically feel the tension drop here. I let out a really long breath, a crazy sense of extreme relief washing over my whole body. Everything clicked perfectly, playing out exactly to the script I wrote down, to the finale.
I don't even bother showing up to the shareholder meeting in person. I have absolutely zero interest in watching a trial where the final result was already decided beforehand. I choose to watch from a distance via live video instead. 9 in the morning, the meeting kicks off right on time. Even through the computer screen, I can practically feel the completely suffocating, heavy atmosphere dragging down the entire meeting hall.
Boss Trio sits perfectly in the defendant's seat, his face pale as ash but still trying one last desperate struggle. He defends himself until his voice goes hoarse, swearing he's innocent.
Pushing all the blame onto my malicious revenge and technical blackmail, he honestly looks just like a pathetic clown acting out his final moments of pure, helpless madness. Boss Lee doesn't waste time talking trash with him.
He just tells the secretary to flash the email evidence of Boss Chio plotting to steal Project S's intellectual property right onto the big screen, an absolute mountain of ironclad proof.
Then, Boss Lie reads Company V's harsh termination email out loud, right on the spot. He follows it up with their public statement, expressing absolute, total trust in me personally. Boss Trio's old allies lower their heads, one by one. They turn their backs completely, shifting the entire situation to one side. The final voting results hold absolutely zero surprises. The shareholder meeting passes a resolution to strip Boss Trio of every single position in the company, securing a massive 2/3 majority vote. The exact second Boss Lee announces the results, Boss Trio looks like someone ripped out his spine. He collapses completely into his chair. They order him to hand over the general manager office keys, the company seal, and all internal system privileges right then and there. He is totally crushed. His eyes look empty, just like a soulless puppet.
With Boss Trio finally dealt with, the boardroom shareholders immediately shift their gaze back to my face on the screen. Their eyes are full of desperate anticipation.
10 VN, can you unlock the system now? An anxious shareholder asks out loud. I look at those panicking faces through the screen and give a soft smile.
Dear directors, I can certainly unlock the system, but exactly how far along is the company with actually fulfilling my conditions? Boss Lee jumps in instantly. 10 VN, do not worry. The apology letter draft is already finished. The dismissal resolution has also taken immediate effect. As for your $2 million in compensation, the finance department is running an emergency procedure now. I shake my head. Boss Lee, I do not want an ongoing procedure. What I want is that money hitting my account this very second. My tone leaves absolutely zero room for debate. Otherwise, I can lock that system again whenever I want. Trust me, the second lock will be permanent. The entire room erupts into a panicked uproar. Absolutely nobody expected me to show such extreme ruthlessness at a crucial time like this.
Boss Lee's face changes colors over and over.
Finally, he grits his teeth and screams at the finance director beside him. Forget all those standard procedures. Just use my personal authority and transfer him the money right now.
Acting under Boss Lee's direct personal guarantee, the finance department processes this massive money transfer order as a top emergency.
5 minutes later, my phone receives a direct notification from the bank. Your savings account, ending in those specific digits, has successfully completed the incoming transfer transaction today. The transaction amount is exactly 2 million dong, updating current balance. I look at that beautiful string of numbers, and the smile on my lips grows even brighter. I nod at the screen. Very good. Happy cooperating. I type a quick string of commands into my own computer.
Almost at that exact moment, back at the shareholder meeting, the technical director lets out a massive shock cheer. Project S backend is finally restored.
We have full access again. Massive applause and relieved cheers echo through the hall like a huge burden was just lifted. However, their wild celebrating lasts for barely even 10 seconds total.
Now pay close attention here. My next few words throw the entire room right back into dead, crushing silence.
Please, quiet down a bit, everyone. I am forced to remind you all that this is only a temporary unlock. The core architecture of Project S still remains completely under my personal control.
Listen, my brand new company, Vision Technology, will officially be established within the next 7 days. When that time comes, my team will formally present a comprehensive overall buyout plan regarding the critical technical upgrades and ongoing customer maintenance for your precious Project S. If your company dares to refuse, then exactly 1 month from now, this temporarily unlocked system will completely paralyze forever.
By that time, what you all lose will definitely not just be a simple major client like Company V.
Finishing my piece, I do not wait for their reaction at all. I just cut the video connection. The second the screen goes black, I can almost hear the sharp gasps of cold air from the shareholders on the other end. I am no savior. I just came to take back what belongs to me, conveniently carving a painful chunk of flesh off them while I am at it. The very next day, the company's official homepage posts an incredibly sincere apology letter for everyone to see. In the letter, they highly praise my outstanding contributions and my core role during the research and development phase of Project S. At the same time, they express their deepest, most profound apologies for the massive reputational damage and severe economic losses caused to me by their previous internal management issues. Although the letter never names him directly, every single word subtly points to Boss Trieu's disastrous policy mistakes. This public letter places a completely perfect end to all the horrible slander I had to endure before this. My lawyer actually tells me Boss Trieu is still completely unwilling to give up, even after getting fired. He used his last remaining connections and capital funds to secretly contact a brand new tech team. He tries using brute force methods to crack my source code right after I unlock the system, hoping to snatch back control. But get this, he totally failed. He has absolutely no idea that what I left behind is a double layer of insurance. The things I temporarily unlocked were just the basic user application layer of the entire system.
Meanwhile, the absolute core black box algorithm still remains firmly in my tight grip, and I even set up significantly higher level anti-intrusion barriers completely surrounding it. Any single unauthorized access attempt made without my explicit permission will instantly trigger the entire system's ultimate self-destruct program.
Right after confirming Boss Trieu's incredibly stupid and reckless behavior, my dedicated legal team steps right up. Vision Tech has just been founded, and they immediately file an official lawsuit against the old company and Boss Trieu personally. The goal of this lawsuit is crystal clear: to completely settle the technical ownership rights of the newly developed Project She once and for all. The chain of evidence we hold is absolute, undeniable. Now watch this move. Exactly a week later, Ney Company makes a massive official announcement across all their channels. They have just signed a deep strategic partnership agreement with a rising new tech startup known as Vision Tech. And the founder and CEO of Vision Tech? That's me, Tin Vien. That news drops, shockwaves set straight through the entire industry. Almost at the exact same time, Van Company releases a statement officially announcing they have signed a brand new technical service agreement with Vision Tech. The partnership fee's a whole 30% higher than my old company's previous contract. I bring Tio Lu and 3 other core team members straight to the brand new office that Kofang prepared for us. We officially kick off the comprehensive upgrade and permanent bug fixes for Project S. And the best part? We never have to listen to anyone blindly pointing fingers at us again. Our team has got top-tier equipment, the most absolute freedom, and the rewarding results we actually deserve. This right here? This is exactly how any real tech professional should be working every single day. A little while later, Trang Keat sends me a quick pixt. He says, Boss Trieu didn't just have his shares completely liquidated by the company. Because of suspected embezzlement and massive commercial fraud, the board of directors has officially handed him right over to the investigating authorities. Every single property is completely frozen. His savings? Totally locked down.
and real prison time is absolutely waiting for him.
Unable to handle this brutal freefall from heaven straight down to hell, his wife filed for divorce. In just one single night, that man completely lost everything.
After reading that text, I calmly delete all of Boss Trio's contact info. Done.
I absolutely refuse to waste even one more second caring about the pathetic ending of a total loser.
Boss Lee and Boss Trong have reached out several times, offering an insane annual salary and an executive vice president role just to drag me back to the old company.
I politely reject them all. Thanks for the offer, Boss Lai, but I've already got what I want most. So what exactly is that?
Absolute freedom. The power to control my own destiny. Meanwhile, Vision Tech rises up crazy fast in this industry, turning into a brilliant, shining star.
As for Boss True and his old company, they have completely become the classic negative example that everyone in the business uses as a harsh warning.
1 year later, I'm standing by the massive floor-to-ceiling windows of my top-floor office over at Vision Tech. Right outside is the sparkling night view of this city. Thousands of lights looking just like stars falling down to Earth.
The company's scale has expanded 10 times over compared to last year, and the upgraded version of Project S has already conquered half the domestic high-end market.
I'm currently taking an exclusive interview with one of the top tech publications in the country.
A pretty reporter sits right across from me. Her questions are sharp, totally direct, and pulling no punches.
Mr. Ting Vien, she says, your calm resignation that shocked the professional world a year ago has basically become a legend for working people.
A lot of folks are wondering, at the exact moment you found out your year-end bonus got completely wiped out, how could you stay so incredibly calm?
I pick up my coffee, glance out at the night sky, and give a faint smile. Because anger and arguing are the final weapons of the weak.
But when you actually hold the core tech, when you have enough cards to just flip the board,
Every single insult and injustice you hear is honestly just a battle horn. It's the signal for your massive counterattack.
I was calm, not because I didn't care, but because in that very moment, I already knew exactly who the real loser was. The reporter is clearly super satisfied with that answer. She follows up. So what do you think is actually the best year-end bonus for someone working that hard? I think about it for a second, then answer her completely seriously. It's pure respect. It is the genuine, heartfelt respect a business holds for real talent, and the deep respect for knowledge and professional value. That matters way more than any number. Period.
After the interview officially drops, that quote about respect being the best year-end bonus quickly blows up, becoming the #1 golden phrase trending all over the internet.
My phone buzzes with a congratulatory text from Tran Kiet. He also quit that sinking ship of an old company about half a year ago, right before it really went down.
Right now, he's actually sitting as the HR director here at Vision Tech.
I stare at my phone. Flashback to that morning a year ago. 159 missed calls. 199 texts.
Looking back now, that wasn't just mindless harassment at all. That was actually the massive, heavy ransom Boss Triyu paid using his entire fortune and future just to buy my complete freedom. I finally give myself a long break, flying out to an island down in the southern hemisphere. This time, it's a truly pure vacation. No annoying work calls interrupting me at all.
Lying back on the sand, I watch the ocean waves crash into the shore, washing every footprint away.
You know what I suddenly realize? True calmness isn't about running away from the world's noise. It's about finally having the power to completely control that noise yourself. That effortless grace and steady peace will naturally rise right up from within.